Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama One last time, everyone together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You can chant the prayers, you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatimirandhasya.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya.
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Chakshurunmilitam Yena.
Chakshurunmilitam Yena.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Namo Vishnupadaya.
Namo Vishnupadaya.
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale.
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale.
Srimate Bhaktivedanta.
Srimate Bhaktivedanta.
Swaminiti Namine.
Swaminiti Namine.
Namaste Saraswate Deve.
Namaste Saraswate Deve.
Gauravani Pracharine.
Gauravani Pracharine.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi.
Pashyat Deshatarine.
Pashyat Deshatarine.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Prabhu Nityananda.
Prabhu Nityananda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhar.
Shri Advaita Gadadhar.
Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Hare Rama.
Hare Rama Hare Rama.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Mokam karoti vachalam pangvam langayate kiram yat kripatam ham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. So welcome again everyone for this Saturday evening festival of enlightenment. And I think you can come a little forward, there is a lot of space here. So thank you all for coming who have joined for this session. It's such a rainy day, I was not expecting so many people also to come, because people have so many reservations, but still you all came in spite of the heavy rains. That's a very nice thing. So today we'll be discussing something very, very important, a very, very important topic which you all can relate with, and especially the ones who are coming for the first time. Those who have already attended, it will be kind of revision for all of you, this session which we have already covered. So let's discuss something again from the Bhagavad Gita, the most auspicious scripture. And we again dedicate this presentation to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, because it is only because of him we are able to discuss, understand, analyze all these things. As we discussed in the classes till now, we analyzed that how we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, we are something different from the body. We are not even this mind, we are not even this intelligence. All of these things we are able to understand just because Prabhupada has given all these teachings in his books. And the most amazing book he has given is the Bhagavad Gita. Means Bhagavad Gita was already spoken, the translation has been given by him. Very, very amazing translation that has been given by him, which helped us understand what is the goal of life or what is the purpose of life. So today's topic will be mind your mind. I am sure I can see some faces who have already done this session. It will be kind of revision to understand this again and again. And for those who are attending this for the first time, it will be a highly enlightening and highly relevant session. Because this is something which we all struggle with. How our mind does various things which we don't even know. And today's session will be just discovering different nature of the mind. Basically how our mind works, and everything we are discussing from the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, we won't discuss any scientific theorems of mind or something like that. But everything from the Bhagavad Gita, what does Bhagavad Gita talks about the mind? And how much it is relevant in our day-to-day lives. So we'll begin. So let's begin with this. Let's try to understand what is the nature of the mind, or let's try to analyze this thing. So I'm sure in our day-to-day lives, whenever we are doing some action, whenever we are trying to make some decisions, many times it happens that there are multiple choices we get from within. Or we are planning to do something and we are hearing multiple voices from within. And one voice might be saying that I should do this thing, I should do this action. And there might be another voice which might be saying I shouldn't do this action. It happens with everyone. A simple example which we always give, like a diabetic patient. A diabetic patient goes there in a marriage ceremony, and he's in the counter of food where food is being distributed. He's taking everything one by one, and finally he reaches the sweets counter. Now definitely there will be one voice which will be telling him, no, don't take this, it will hurt you, it will harm your health and all those things. But then there will be also another voice which will be telling, when do you get such opportunity? When do you go to marriages? You are getting such a nice opportunity, take it. We'll see whatever happens to your health. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Consequences we'll see later. You just take and enjoy. And just to break the suspense, these two voices are the voices of our mind and intelligence. The very, very simple, basic aspect I am talking about. This is a voice which comes from one from the mind and another from the intelligence. Intelligence is what? Which has a discriminating power, which knows what is right and wrong, and mind works on a different angle. And today's topic is just about the mind. And basically, I'm not going to tell you something new. I'm going to tell you something from the Gita which you also might be knowing yourself. But it is more of analyzing, self-analyzing how these complex things happen within ourselves and we don't even know. We don't even know how we make majority of the decisions in our life. We'll just try to understand how these things are happening, and that is what we are analyzing in the nature of the mind. So now this mind is the most powerful material element. And I'm sure you might have experienced what I just discussed till now about hearing multiple voices from within when we are taking any decision. And one of the voices is that of the mind. Now let's try to see the nature of the mind from the Bhagavad Gita. Very amazing shloka, please repeat after me. Bhumirapo analo vayu kham mano buddhire vacha ahankar itiyam me bhinna prakriti ashtadha. Yeah, can anyone read the translation?
Water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. Altogether these eight constitute my separated material energies.
Yeah, so this is a verse from the 7th chapter of the big Gita, 7th chapter, 4th verse, where Krishna is telling to Arjuna something about the nature of the mind. You see, that's why we say Bhagavad Gita is a very, very relevant scripture. It's called as a life manual. Because even though it was spoken 5,000 years ago, but still so many things are relevant even to us in our day-to-day lives. And one of them we'll see today in this topic of the mind. So here we all know about these Panchabhuta, or the 5 things that are there: earth, water, fire, air and ether. And it's described that entire body, entire existence is comprised of these 5 elements. And if we analyze these 5 elements, it is going from a gross to a subtle platform. Like earth, water, fire, air and ether. Now ether is something which we can't see. It's said that sound propagates through ether. So through sound we can understand that there is ether around, but we cannot see ether. Where is the ether or the presence of ether? When it comes to air, we cannot see air also. But how we can understand that air is there around? Feel. The sense of touch that is there. Through that we can understand that air is also around us. Going one level ahead, fire. Fire is something we can see. And fire is something we can see that it has a form or some shape also. That is through the sense of eye we can perceive. And one level ahead, that is water. Water we can even taste. We cannot taste fire, right? Anyone tried tasting fire? No. But when it comes to water, it becomes more and more grosser. We can taste. And then when it comes to earth, all those of the 4 things which we discussed previously are already there. Sound goes through earth. We can taste different elements. Vegetables we take are being produced from the earth. And also earth has a sense of smell. Especially when it rains, you'll see so many smells coming from the different parts of the earth. That's especially in a rural area. In the urban area, it will be all dirty, foul smell. But in villages, you'll see very nice smell coming from the earth. That is the property of earth, which is very, very gross. So here what is happening is, as we are going down the line, we are beginning from earth, water, fire, air and ether, things are becoming more and more subtle. And when it comes to the next element, that's what the topic of discussion is, that is the mind. It is more subtle. Subtle means something which we can't directly perceive. Everyone here knows that we have mind, right? But if someone challenges you, show me your mind. Can you show them? And if the person says like that, many people have this concept, seeing is believing. Unless we don't see something, we don't believe. Then no one can show his mind, and they'll say that they themselves cannot show their own mind. So how can that concept work? So basically mind is a very, very subtle element. But now when we try to understand one thing that is given in this verse itself, that mind is nothing but also a material energy. Till now we have discussed in the previous classes about the difference between spiritual and material. What is spiritual and what is material? And here mind is talked about as a material energy. So now my question is, whenever we go to some spiritual organization, there are many organizations which are spiritual, which talk about spirituality. And one of the aspects which many people are looking for in a spiritual organization is that they'll get peace of mind. But now what do you think? If you analyze this deeply, if you try to think with your own intelligence, do you think this is a material thing or a spiritual thing? Yeah, it's made quite clear here. Whenever we speak about peace of mind, it's nothing to do with spirituality. It's when some organization says, okay, you come here, you'll get peace of mind. It is okay, material level it's there. You do some yoga, you do some pranayam, you will feel happy, you'll feel nice, that's all okay. But that has no connection with spirituality altogether. That is just a material thing that is there. When we talk of spirituality, that is something beyond all these things. That is something above all these things. That is about the spirit soul that we are talking. And when we practice actual spirituality, these things are just a byproduct. We don't speak about peace of mind and this and that. That will automatically come. When we practice spirituality, all these things will automatically happen. But this is not our main goal. Mind can never be peaceful unless we practice spirituality. Even if some organization gives you peace of mind, that won't last long. For few minutes, for few hours, and then again the mind will be agitated. So here we are not concerned with that kind of peace of mind. Here we are trying to discuss something deeper. So let's again come to the topic of mind. So mind, the scriptures say the mind works on the principles of acceptance and rejectance. Or in simple terms, likes and dislikes. Simple, this is we are trying to explain everything in a very simple language. I hope I am clearly audible to everyone behind?
Yes.
Yeah. So this we are trying to understand everything in a very simple language. What is about the nature of the mind? Likes and dislikes. Whenever we say that I like this, I want to do that, I don't like this activity, I don't want to do that activity, where is it all coming from? We should understand that is all coming from the mind, or mind is giving us the thoughts. Now someone may say, what are you saying? It's me who is giving the thoughts. Why are you saying mind is giving the thoughts? So here comes an even more deeper concept. Now when I say mind is giving the thoughts, means mind is something different from us. How many think that whoever the mind is, we are the mind? Or how many thinks we are something beyond the mind? What do you think, that we are just the mind, or the thought that is giving is just us, or it's something different? That's very obvious. Mind is just a material element, and we have already discussed we are spirit soul. So the thoughts that are being given by this material element, that is the mind. And that is what is giving all these thoughts about likes and dislikes, that do this activity, don't do this activity. So whenever you press the like button, you should understand that thing is coming from the mind. Now let's try to analyze some more things. And as I already told, we'll analyze something about our own self, about how we take decisions in our own life, or how things work. So now, of course, the next question that will definitely come is, on what basis does the mind decide likes and dislikes? We already discussed about likes and dislikes. We discussed that mind works on this principle. But how is it being decided? Or how does these likes and dislikes are being decided? What do you think?
Previous experience.
Based on consciousness, previous experience?
Comfort.
Comfort. Okay, what else?
Karma like
Previous karma, how will that do that?
fear.
Okay.
Consciousness.
Huh?
Fear.
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 Fear. Yeah. Anyone else? Nostalgia. Very nice. So actually all these things you mentioned are all correct, and that can be summarized into one word, and that is samskaras. This is basically, as in Sanskrit term, it talks about the deep impressions of the mind. Many times we say this thing, no, iske samskar achhe nahi hai, or sometimes people say I belong to a good family, cultured family, I have nice samskaras. Basically what we are talking about, we are talking about these impressions of the mind, or samskaras that are there. And now question comes that how do these impressions come on the mind? We are talking of these deep impressions that are there on the mind. Based on that we take a decision. So where are these impressions coming from? So mind, you have to understand, mind is just like a hard disk. You all know what is a hard disk? Mind is also like a hard disk, and it is a portable hard disk. It is one thing that can be carried. Mind is like a storehouse which can store many, many things. And it stores all these samskaras that are there, not just from this life, but even from many, many previous lives. I hope you have attended the previous classes where we talked about the previous life and the relevance of those in the karma and all those sessions we discussed. So mind is something which has all these samskaras, not just of this life, but of many, many previous lives. Now question may come, what is the proof? How we can accept that samskaras are there from the previous life? Can anyone think of some example how we can understand that there are so many samskaras coming from the previous life also?
By age of 10 only they started 32 runs of Hare Krishna mantra.
Yeah, spiritual samskaras many people chant. Yeah. Any other?
A newborn baby himself or herself has some likes and dislikes.
Correct. What to speak of newborn baby? Even twins born in the same family. Many times we see twins born in the same family being brought up in the same circumstance. Everything will be same. Yet they will have different set of likes and dislikes. Now question comes, where is it all coming from? They have been trained in the same way, their parents are taking care of them in the same way. But then both will have different set of natures. Sometimes it happens, one might be demoniac, other might be divine. That also happens. Shishi Gandharvika Girdhari Shiv Mahaprabhu ki jai. So many times it happens, one might be very amazing, very cultured boy, and other might be very, very naughty. Many things happen. This is one thing, twin babies born in the family. We can understand samskaras coming from previous life. Anything else?
In few cases in overall world, there are people who remember past life people completely and their exact names complete related.
Correct. That we discussed in that class of reincarnation as well, the cases where people remembering their past life. But here I am talking of samskaras. One more example we can see is of the phobias. Right from childhood, many people have different kinds of phobias. Some people are fearful of heights. Some people are claustrophobic, they cannot stay in a closed place. Some people have different, some people are afraid of the water, they cannot go even near to the water. And I have seen some people right from young age, they'll be very, very fearful of some animals. Some may be afraid of cat and dog, and it continues throughout. Now, where is this all coming from? This is all coming from past samskaras. Something might have happened with that animal, with that thing in the past with us, and that's why we're so fearful. And how we can understand? Because not everyone will have the same phobia. Not everyone is afraid of the same thing. Some might be very comfortable with that, but some might be very, very fearful. This is about phobias. Another thing we see are dreams. Sometimes we see so many dreams of so many things which we have never seen in our life. The places we have never visited, the things we have never seen, and all those will be there in the dreams. Of course, sometimes it might be due to our imagination of seeing some movies and imagining something, but sometimes it's also possible due to the previous impressions that are there. And again, that is also coming from the mind. So this we can understand clearly. It's very, very clear. Even if we have a little bit brain substance here, we can understand that these impressions are coming from the past life. And same is for now. Whatever activities we are doing now, whatever things we are doing now, that is also creating an impression on us. Everything is creating. Like I gave that example. Just like you are all sitting here, you are watching, you are hearing something. And it said whenever we do something with too much deep attention, whenever we hear something with very, very deep attention, those things have a strong impression on our mind. Just like we did this activity previously, that even now if you try, you close your eyes and you think about your childhood, you think about your younger days. It's not that you'll remember each and everything of past life or each and everything of your young childhood. But there will be some events, some things which will be very deep in your memory, very sharp in your memory. Some things which would have left a very, very deep impression in your mind. And again, that is stored as an impression in the mind. That is also becomes a samskara. What to speak about childhood, even when it comes to movies. Sometimes when we watch movies with very, very close attention, when we are completely immersed in the movies, and you'll see even years later you'll remember that movie, you'll remember so many scenes of that movie. We might not even remember something of yesterday, but we might remember something of so past, something we have done past many years back. Why is it so? Because those impressions, we have done that activity with very, very deep attention, and those impressions have been created on the mind. And same goes for spiritual life. If you whatever you are hearing right now, if you hear it with very, very deep attention, when you are chanting the holy names, when we do that activity, if you do it with amazing deep attention, you'll see that also will continue later. Or those impressions will also become very, very strong. This is both, it works on material side and also works on spiritual side. Especially you see negatives, it works more because the mind is too much attracted to negativity. Especially now when the internet has become open, everyone has access to everything. When it comes to this thing about pornography, that is also described that when we see someone nude, when we see all those abominable things, it also leaves a very, very deep impression on our mind. Actually, it's described that that impression continues for 10 years. That impression stays there for 10 years, and many times people think, what is the problem? What is the problem? I am not doing anything, I am just in my room watching something, what's your problem? But then the problem happens when we grow a little old. When we become adults, many, many problems happen. And we personally know many married people who are struggling to give up pornography. Who are married, who have children in their home, yet they are too much addicted to that. Because mind has created so much deep impressions, the person has become so much addicted that even if he wants, he is not able to give it up. The example is given in the Shastra of the fan. Just like you see the fan is rotating right now. If you switch off the fan, it will take some time to turn it off, right? It won't immediately switch off. Same thing is with the mind. If you do all these things, if you watch all these things, it creates very, very deep impressions in your mind. And even to wipe away these impressions, that takes a period of 10 years, a huge period. Until that time, you'll see those impressions will again and again haunt you. Only if you stop. If you don't stop, then it keeps on continuing. Continuing, even to an extent when a person is in old age and still he's having those lusty thoughts. In fact, we remember once we went to a SBI bank, our senior devotee had gone there for giving a class. He had gone there for giving a session, and many elite customers were there. Elite customers with a high net worth, and many customers were sitting and they were hearing the sessions. So after the session, what happened is one lady came to him. One lady came to that devotee and she was talking personal, something personal. And she went to the cabin and then she started crying. And then she started telling that my husband is having an extramarital affair. And now that lady looked very old, that lady was an elderly lady, so this person was confused. That person asked that, what is your age? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So that lady asked that person or that devotee asked that lady that what's your age? That lady told, my age is 68. One second. Hare Krishna. I think wire is. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oh.
There shall move this one. There shall move forward.
Maybe you all can come a little forward, so it will be easier without the mic. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Yeah. So no problem. We'll do just like that. Am I audible clearly backside? Okay. So what I was mentioning is about the nature of the mind. That how the mind works or how much strong the impressions are. So I was giving that example of a person who was working there, or the lady who came to this devotee, and she was telling that my husband is having an extramarital affair. And that was an elderly lady, very, very elder, senior lady. And now this person asked that, what is the age of your husband? And she's telling 74. And now it might look funny, it might look hilarious to hear all these things, but it's actually a fact that mind actually makes such a strong impression on a person when we indulge in all these things, that with time, even in old age, a person is not able to get rid. He does so many abominable things. And that's why we have to understand that doing these things, it's not a great thing. Hare Krishna. That we might think that, okay, maybe the wireless mic can give in. Doing such things, we might feel it's a very great thing, it's a great thing. Actually, if we think to give these things up is a great thing. And only a spiritualist, a person deep in spirituality can give up these things. Otherwise, it's not easy, it's not possible. For people in general to give these things, people think that it's a great thing that I open my laptop, I am alone in my room, no one is watching, let me do all this. That's not a big thing, anyone can do that. But only it requires some guts and confidence to give up these activities. And that can be done when we go deeper in spirituality. Otherwise, we'll be just stuck in this cycle. We'll be just stuck in this cycle again and again doing that until the old age will remain miserable. Our mind will be very, very disturbed. So this is something I was speaking about, samskaras, or how these impressions are created in the mind. Now let's try to understand where are we getting these impressions from, or how these impressions are being built in the mind. What is the way these impressions bring, or where does the mind takes up? So impressions are based on what we hear, what we see. Basically, when something we see, some impression is created. We hear some music, some impression is created. Especially when we like some music a lot, we keep on speaking or singing it again and again. That is also impression that is getting created. Something we smell which is very, very nice, again an impression gets created. Like this way, our senses that are there, they create these multiple impressions that are there, or they create all these impressions. Yeah, you can give that mic. I think it fit in this. Change this also. Hare Krishna. I think now this is better. So now what we were speaking about, the impressions that are there on the mind. And these impressions come from the different things we do of the senses. So one of the things that people think goal of life is to make money. To make more and more money, we can enjoy a lot, become very, very rich, and you can be very, very happy. Again, where it is all coming from? By the deep impressions that have been given by seeing things around us. Because everyone says so, everyone feels like that, and that's why we also start thinking that goal of life is this only. But then just try to understand, there are so many people in this world who are very, very rich, dirty, filthy rich, who have so much money, even their generations can sit and eat. Yet you go and ask them, are they satisfied in their life? Are they happy in their life? Still they are working very, very hard to earn more and more. And we don't understand why. What is the reason? Because this cannot give us happiness. But that's what we think, that this can give us happiness. Another thing that is mentioned, become this, become that. That's what we keep on hearing from people around. That you should become like this, you should become like that. And that also creates a strong impression on my mind. And same it comes to spiritual activities. When we do spiritual activities, that also leaves a very, very deep impression. But this is a positive impression. This is an impression which will help us grow in life. But other impressions just degrade us in our life, degrade us in our consciousness. And many other things, achieve this and that. Then it's mentioned about buy this product, or what we talk about, the advertisements. Like nowadays we see so many advertisements on the streets. Even these advertisements create a deep impression, especially when we watch them again and again. Just simple example, you might have heard this before also. Like we are seeing the advertisement, we are seeing again and again the advertisement of toothpaste. And then we go to a shop. When we go to any shop and we want to purchase a toothpaste. And first thing that comes to our mind is, does this toothpaste have salt? Kya is toothpaste mein? Namak hai. Now we might not understand, we might have read about it, we don't need the importance, why is it actually needed? But still that deep impression is there, and the first thing that comes to the mind is that this product should have something which I have seen. This is working now. Okay. Hare Krishna. Is it clear? Hare Krishna. So yeah, we were talking of the advertisement, how much deep impact they made. Many times people say also that they went out for shopping, they went to just purchase one item. But they go in the mall, they see things around and they end up emptying their wallet. Why this happens? Because so many impressions have been created, so many things we have seen. And when we see the same things which we saw in advertisement in front of us, naturally our mind attracts to them. This is how the advertisement industry also works. Bombard a person with so many things over and over again and again. Initially I never understood the concept of advertisements, that we see something, how are they benefiting out of it? But they benefit when they create the deep impressions in us. And by those deep impressions, we end up buying those things. You observe, one thing you have never seen before, you have never seen any advertisement, you go to a mall, you go to a shop, you will never purchase that thing. You will only purchase that thing which you have seen before, which you have heard somewhere before. Oh, I heard this before, so I should take. Even though you might not know which one is good, but still that is the way advertisement works. And many other things. Why? Because people are telling, advertisements are telling, people do many other things. So this is how impressions are created on the mind. Especially these days, the advertisement that is floated all around, fresh meat at your doorstep. Now I never understood how can meat be fresh, how can a dead animal be fresh, but still that's what they sell. And people are very happy, oh this is very nice, they are giving us fresh meat. Fresh blood will be oozing out of it. That's what of fresh meat means, fresh blood, freshly cut, something like that. So this is how advertisements work. And this all is based on impressions. The impressions are created through this. The impressions are created through the advertisements, through the things we see around us, and many things that happen. Mind is also described as the best video and photo editor. Not like Corel Draw, not like Photoshop, much more better than that. Why is it so? You might have experienced yourself. You go, as I already gave the example, you go watch a movie. And you watch a movie with complete attention, with dipped inside the movie. And naturally what happens that night in the dreams? We are seeing that movie, the entire scene gets placed in the mind. Only one thing will change. The hero's face will change, and in his place, our photo will be placed there, or our face will be placed there. And this is how the mind works. I'm sure all those who are hearing this with attention can very much relate to it. That this is actually the nature of the mind, or this is how our mind works. And many other things. And it works so heavily that sometimes in dreams people do some gross activities. Like small kids, when they see some bad dream, they urinate. Some subtle thing, something happen in the mind and they do some gross activity. When it comes to adults, many lusty people, many sensual people, they have something called as night falls. See something abominable in the dreams and end up doing those activities. Again, the nature of the mind. This is how the mind works. Picks us from here and there, and then it just mixes it all over. Prabhupada used to give the example that if we see a mountain, if we see gold, then in the dream we'll see a golden mountain. This is how the mind mixes things up, and that's how we see in the dreams. So now this is what we were trying to understand, the nature of the mind. Now we'll try to understand some negative things the mind does. So this is an acronym, very important and very interesting things we'll discuss. MINDS. M stands for magnifies the problem. I stands for infinite thoughts and desires. N stands for D and S. Now we'll see this one by one. M is magnifies the problem. In Hindi we also say no, Rai ka pahad banana. Who does that? That is again the nature of the mind. Something small will be there, something very insignificant will be there, but the mind just blows it out of proportion, and we feel it's very important, very great. Especially when we see various things, hear various things, mind sometimes blows it out of proportion. Like some years back, we had this COVID. Now, there were few people who are struggling, who are going through the tough phase, But then much more than that were the people who were sitting inside their homes, all okay, everything good. But just by seeing in the television, they were getting depressed, they were getting frustrated, and they were experiencing so many troubles. Just by the television, even though nothing has happened to that. Because the mind was blowing the things out of proportion. And in fact, I heard a live case where what happened is, the wife got COVID. And husband was so afraid, and this was in the initial days. Husband was so panicked, so afraid that he got an heart attack, he died. Wife was in the hospital, wife became okay, wife came home. How does all these things happen? Just because of blowing things out of proportion, or that is called as magnifying the problem. Many times we see people also feel, I have so many problems in my life, I'm going through tough phase, this and that. And you speak to them, you'll think, "Arey, to kuch bhi nahi hai." Nothing is there. So many people are struggling so much more, and this person is thinking this small problem is too much. But what is happening? Actually, the mind is making him feel that the problem is so much. In fact, that's true for all of us. Whenever we feel some problem is there which is covering us, which is affecting us a lot, we should understand it's nothing, it's the nature of the mind that is just magnifying the problem. There's nothing that is very big in this world. So this is about mind magnifying the future problem. Another thing, very, very interesting video.
अरे विवेक, I want to talk to you something. Yes sir. चलो अभी तो तुम निकलो, मंडे को बात करते हैं, ओके? पता नहीं सबको क्या बात करनी है। कहीं मेरा प्रोजेक्ट तो नहीं चेंज हो रहा, कहीं मेरा रिव्यू तो नहीं है मंडे को, बॉस को कहीं पता तो नहीं लग गया कि मैं अपनी मंथली पीपीटी अपने इंटर्न से बनवा रहा हूँ। सर, हाँ सर, आप कह रहे थे कुछ जरूरी बात करनी है। अरे हाँ, मैं कह रहा था तुम शादी कब कर रहे हो? उम्र निकली जा रही है। सर ये बात करनी थी आपको? हाँ यही कह रहा था। चलो चाय पी जाते हैं।
So anyways, this talks about, the video is a funny idea, but talks about the infinite thoughts. One after another, nothing is there, but just because of some reason, we keep on thinking, and then we think it's a huge thing that has happened. Just like this person we see. And once, at some point we reach a juncture where we start thinking, why did we waste our time so much of thinking about this thing? This is about infinite thoughts. And sometimes many people get many kind of infinite thoughts. Sometimes they say so much negativity is there around me, or everyone around me is negative, so much just because of this infinite thoughts. And whenever we ask such people, they'll say everyone around me is negative. So much negativity is there around me. But they don't understand that the one person in the mirror they see, he is the one who is negative. And he is the one who is not proper, and that's why he's seeing everyone around as negative. And because the mind is creating all that negativity, mind is creating that infinite thoughts. That's how the mind works. Again, something which we can all analyze for ourselves, can all think for ourselves. I'm just triggering the thought process so that you can analyze these things. So this is about infinite uncontrolled thoughts. Another thing, past or future. Again, very, very important thing. It's the nature of the mind to either take us to the past or take us to the future. Never in present. Even I have this habit of observing everyone when I give the class, and I can see, even in the last 46 minutes, many people have gone somewhere, gone for a ride, maybe to the PG, maybe to the clubs or wherever they are going, and then come back. And then they nod their head also, yes, yes. This is again the nature of the mind. How the mind never lets us be in the present. We are sitting here, we have come here for a purpose, but the mind will take us for the ride outside. What will happen after this? Aaj prasad mein kya denge ye log? What will happen if they don't give some prasad? Where will I take food? Or whatever. But the mind always keeps on switching gears between, or some project that tomorrow I have to give this deadline, that has to be done. And that is actually the nature of the mind, never lets us focus. And it's funny thing that we are hearing about the mind, and yet our mind is taking us round and round. This again, it stops us from focusing. And many times in corporates also they say that people, they don't have high productivity just because of this fact. People, and in fact, it's said that only 10% of the 10% of the productivity is given in office. Why? Because 90% of the time the mind is busy fixing problems of the past or thinking, planning about the future. And that's why the productivity becomes very, very less. But then that burst that is there, being in the moment, that can only happen by spiritual practice. Without any spiritual practice, without practicing spirituality, it's not at all possible to bring the mind in the present. Mind will keep on taking us here and there for a ride, joyride, anytime, everywhere, and you analyze for yourselves. And you'll realize how much time in a day, I'm talking about a single day, how much time we are wasting just by thinking something of the past or thinking something of the future, which has no relevance altogether, which doesn't help us in any way. But this is how the mind will take us here and there. That again is the nature of the mind. And many times people feel also, people feel that, okay, mind is the culprit. People don't understand mind is the culprit, and they say many times that, oh, I don't have time for all this, I don't have time for spiritual practices, this and that, many other things. But actually it's that mind that is making us feel that time is not there. We have many spiritualists, many people who are working in big organizations, earning a huge amount, CEOs in the companies. And we know such people who are practicing spirituality. And they are not chanting 1 or 2 rounds, they chant 2 hours daily. 2 hours daily they sit and chant, and yet they have time for everything. And rather they say that after practicing spirituality, their time has expanded, or they are able to do things much more. And why is it also? Because they have learned the art of bringing the mind in the present. And you'll see it's very, very amazing. If our mind is able to stay focused in the present, we can do much more than our capacity. We won't have to do overtime and weekend shift and this and that, only if our mind is focused and we are able to stay in the present. Otherwise, we observe in the offices, you see any person in the office, you'll see entire day's mind will have a series of incoherent thoughts, something, somewhere, something else. Mind will keep on pushing the person here and there. But only if we learn that art of bringing the mind in the present, we can do much more miracles in life. And that happens by chanting, by doing the spiritual practice. So it's a myth, it's just a wrong conception that people feel that if I do spirituality, and that too, I was discussing that many times I have heard people saying that I don't even have time to chant 1 round. I didn't get time out, I didn't get 10 minutes in the day. That is all bogus. Actually, that is all what the mind is telling us, time is not there. If we do this, we'll realize how much time we have. How much time we are wasting on so many things which we can invest in that, chant at least 1 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily, and we can see the effect for ourselves. We can see how our mind will become focused. So this was about mind being in the present, or mind being in the past and future. This is about distraction. Now this too, I don't think there's any need to explain. Everyone knows how the mind gets distracted. As soon as we hear the word focus, that be focused, mind will get distract us here and there. And in fact, if I tell you right away, close your eyes and don't think of a monkey, the first thought that will come here in the mind is of a monkey. This is how the mind distracts us always. So till now, 4 things we see, 4 negative things. What were that? M stands for? Magnifies the problem. I stands for? N stands for? Never in presence. And D stands for? Distraction. And S stands for? Stress and anxiety. As I already mentioned, many times people say also, I'm in great stress and so many things are happening in my life and so many problems and this and that. And when we analyze, when we study the same, we'll realize it's nothing. Very, very insignificant, but the person has created so much stress for himself. Or created a stressful situation for himself. Again, because of the nature of the mind. And one of the things people feel stressed out is because of the attitude of comparison. People compare with others, people see, see this person, how nicely he's doing, how nicely he's progressing. Especially nowadays, comparison has begun on social media. Other person will be posting many pics, and then person will also feel, I should also post some pics. And then they'll be posting nice pics on some nice scenic atmosphere, nicely happy, nicely enjoying life, and the person will go in depression. Or if this person is enjoying like anything, I'm just wasting my life, I'm not doing anything. But many times we have observed such people who are posting those nice pics. When we speak to them personally, we get to know something else is happening behind. Social media, everyone will post very nice smiling pics, and behind everyone will be crying in his life, or everyone will be going through tough situation. But just because of this comparison, just because we don't realize everyone in this world is unique and everyone has his own talents, we try to compare with others. This person has so much fan following, this person has so much likes on his pics, I also want. Just because of this stupid comparison, a person comes in stress and anxiety. So this is the fifth nature of the mind, that is stress creating stress and anxiety. Even many times we have seen people who are very, very arrogant. I am sure everyone must have met such people. We speak to them and they'll behave very arrogantly. In fact, when we are meeting them the first time also, they'll speak very rudely. Even such persons we have analyzed, we speak to them for a long time and then we realize actually they are very, very troubled in their life. They are going through a very, very tough situation, and just to hide that situation, just to cover that situation, they behave in that manner. Again coming from the mind. And this is not something new. Even in Kurukshetra, Duryodhan behaved in the similar way. When the Kurukshetra war was about to start, Pandavas were on one side, Duryodhan was on another side. Duryodhan was frustrated, Duryodhan was depressed. And just to hide that fear that was there within, he was also telling. In the Bhagavad Gita, that verse comes where he is telling Duryodhan that look at that army, look at their commander-in-chief. So everyone knows who was the commander-in-chief of Pandavas? Drishtadyumna, correct. And Drishtadyumna was trained by whom? Dronacharya. So Duryodhana is telling, look at this person, it's trained by you, he's been trained by you, and look at Arjuna, look at Bhima. And then he's trying to hide his fear, he's trying to raise the moral of his participants. He's saying, we are also no less. Hum bhi kam nahi hai. We have Karna, we have Shalya, and so forth. So this is the nature of everyone. We try to hide the fear within by expressing or behaving in this way of being arrogant, being rude, or all these things. Again coming from the mind. You see how many amazing things are there that are happening day to day with us, but we don't even realize. And all this is happening from the mind. So we'll just revise this acronym once more. M stands for? Magnifying the problem. I stands for? N stands for? D? And S? Yeah. So whenever next time you face any of it, remember it's happening because of the mind. And you are not the mind. Mind is the culprit, but you are different from the mind and you can do something about it. If you feel the mind is overtaking you, that means you are not yet started or not yet went deeper in spirituality. Because going deeper in spirituality means controlling this enemy or trying to control the mind. And now that's what we are coming to. But always remember these 5 things, and it is for sure that one or the other thing you will face in your life. And that time you have to understand why this is happening. So now $1 million question for everyone. So is mind our friend or enemy? Both. Bhagavad Gita gives a very, very precise answer, very amazing answer. So read this sloka after me. Bandhur atmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. Yeah, can anyone read loudly?
For him who has conquered the mind is best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
Yeah. You see how scriptures, they are so amazing. Now we are discussing this in today's century, today's scenario, today's day-to-day scenario, and even 5,000 years ago Krishna knew this would happen. Krishna knew people will go to this circumstance and he is giving the best answer. What is he saying? That mind if controlled is the best of friend, and mind if uncontrolled is the worst of enemies. And currently what is mind acting as? Anyone says mind is acting as my best of friends? Actually mind is acting as our enemy. And now just try to imagine that this person is your enemy. Sometimes in life, this person is not favorable to us. We try to keep a distance from him. But here is one enemy who is always there with us. Who is always there, who is always instructing us, who is always telling us various things. You see how much dangerous situation we are in, how much dangerous position we are in, just because mind is there with us. And especially you can analyze this in multiple things. We have seen many people going through different issues, different health problems. Like many times many people have some diet restrictions. They have cold, they cannot take this, or they have some chronic diseases, they cannot take that, they cannot take this. Still, when their favorite dish is put in front of them, they are not able to resist. Even if they have fever, and if someone is too much addicted to cold drink, what he does? He ends up taking it. Now why it is all happening? It's all because the mind is calling us, or mind is forcing us to do those things. It's literally like a force that is happening. That is the dangerous position we are in. So, mind is an uncontrolled enemy and a very, very dangerous personality. And that is the reason, even for practicing spirituality, mind gives us so many reasons. Till now, we have had so many sessions. We discussed about the importance of spirituality. We discussed about chanting of the holy names. We discussed how important it is to daily, regularly chant the holy names. And still, when we think of that, okay, I've been told I should chant and on, and we'll see the bead bag in front of us, still mind gives various thoughts. Mind will tell, ठीक है, leave it, what's the need? क्या इतनी बड़ी बात क्या है? वो कुछ भी बोलते रहते हैं वो क्लास में, उनका तो काम है बोलना, वो बोलते रहेंगे, तुम करो ना करो तुम्हारे ऊपर. All these thoughts will come, that's natural. Even I used to get those thoughts. But you should understand, these thoughts are being given by the mind. Mind is the culprit. Even when it comes to coming for this session, coming for this class, many things will be there, many thoughts will be there. Or it's raining outside so heavily, don't go, what's the big thing? So many things are there, you have to do this thing, you have to go out for somewhere, you have to go out for a party, don't come for this class. Even though we know we are going to learn a lot, we are getting nice knowledge here, we are learning so many things about our own life. But still it's the mind that will trick us. And how we can understand it's the mind trick? Just imagine you have to go on a date and it starts raining heavily. Will you avoid? Will you think like that? Oh no, I should not go. It's raining heavily. I should be at my home. I postpone this. Will you ever think like that? No. But when it comes to something positive, something you are going to learn, but mind will give you hundreds of reasons. No, this is not important. Leave it. What's the big deal? What you are going to learn? This is all happening because of the mind. So we should understand, whenever this thought comes in our mind that let's not go for this session, let's avoid this session, let's not chant. Even if, how many of you have bead and bead bags with you? I'm sure many of you have already taken the beads and bead bags, and those who don't have should also take. Because it's very, very important to do this spiritual activity, go deeper in spirituality in our life. Unless we start doing it regularly, unless we start practicing, it will be very, very difficult to actually change something, actually get something out of it. I'm sure you are spending your time here, you're coming here because you have a hope you'll learn something here. But unless you start chanting on a regular basis, not much transformation will happen. Unless to do some spiritual activity, it's very difficult to experience some transformation. You go to any yoga academy anywhere, they will also say, no, spend some time, do some yoga, then only you will get some benefit. And here in this school of Bhakti Yoga, in here, you'll be asked to chant. But if our mind tricks us a lot, if our mind doesn't let us do that activity, then very, very difficult for us to make any progress in spiritual life. So this is again very, very important to understand. All these thoughts are coming because of the trick of the mind. And it's not just with us. Even Arjuna faced that problem in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So again, this is Arjuna speaking in the Bhagavad Gita. Repeat after me. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. Pramati balavadrinam. Tasyaham nigraham manye. Vayur eva sadushkaram. Yeah. Can anyone read loudly?
The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind.
Yeah. Here Arjuna is also telling the same thing. It's not just a problem with us. Even Arjuna faced that. Actually, we should understand Arjuna never faced the problem, but Arjuna is asking this question for all of us. He is telling this just because he knows what will be our position here. And he's telling mind is restless, chanchal, very, very restless, pramati, turbulent, balavat, very, very strong, and last one is very important, dridam, obstinate. In Hindi we say ziddi, stubborn. That even after hearing again and again what is good for me, what is not good for me, still we don't follow. Like I always give that example of the cigarettes. Initially when cigarette was introduced in the world, when it came in the West, people used to say it's something very nice, they didn't know about the health impact. They thought it's something very nice, something very cool, and everyone started taking to it. And with time they got addicted. And then what happened is, through some scientific researches and all, they later came to know that cigarette has a very, very negative impact on our health. And then they realized, and then they started posting it. Then they started telling, and then they started prescribing everyone. In fact, on the box also they say smoking is injurious to health. But still, even after hearing all that, even after seeing, people couldn't stop. Why? Now we have seen the reason, because of the nature of the mind. Ziddi, stubborn. Even after hearing that this is harming me, even after hearing this will spoil my life, this will kill me. But a person is not able to stop. Because the mind, the nature of the mind is nature of the mind is turbulent. This is what has happened. Initially, it was thought as something very nice, something like a nice juice, nice drink. This smoke is there. They didn't knew about the health impacts when it was introduced in the world, in the West initially. When they realized, it was too late because people were already addicted to it, and they couldn't give it up. And that's how it continued generations after generations. And even now we see people feel like it's a status symbol. Very nicely they'll smoke and make those rings and everything, feeling they're doing something very amazing, very extraordinary thing they are doing. They don't know they are just being covered, or they are just being ruined by their own mind. Nothing else is happening there. This again is the nature of the mind. Another thing, very visible video we'll see. This video gives a very amazing glimpse of our nature of the mind through this boy. You see, it's very hilarious, and this is just of a child, but try to connect this with the nature of the mind. And you'll be able to make a lot of significance through it. Even this is how our mind works. As I'm giving this example of smoking, many other things are there. Whenever we hear or we are sitting in this class, we'll hear that this is a nice thing to do, and this is not so good. We hear everything, we know everything, but still next time that thing will happen in front of us, or that thing will be there in front of us. Initially that thought will come, no, I should not do this, I've heard this is not good for me. But then there will be a voice of the mind. Just like this child, there will be a voice of the mind, very, very strong voice, loud voice from within. No, do it. And then you'll say, no, this is not good for me, this is not good. And the voice will become even louder. Just do it, don't think anything, just do it immediately. Again, intelligence will be speaking very feebly, no, this is not good, I have heard this is not good, and they have told so many consequences of it. But the voice of the mind will grow louder and louder, and the person will end up doing that activity. And I'm sure everyone must have observed this many times, and at the end we repent for it, at the end we feel guilty. Why did we do this? Even in spite of knowing this was wrong, I ended up doing this. Actually, it's just the mind that has forced us to do this activity. In spite of knowing it is not good, it is wrong, the mind just forces it into it, and we end up doing that abominable activity. This is how, that's what given here, mind can drive us crazy. So now we see, it's like a complete different personality that is inside us. Completely different personality, mind which is not us, and yet which is forcing us to do various things. Many times people think we are, or whatever, some people think they are doing some activity which is very cool, which is very nice. They don't understand they are just being forced by the mind to do that activity, nothing else. Mind can drive us crazy. This is our current situation. We'll just give this example. I'll skip this shloka because we have shortage of time. I'm sure you might have seen this before also. This is a chariot example that is given in the scriptures. So the horses are compared to the senses that we have. The ropes are compared to the mind. Person holding the ropes compared to, and sitting behind the person very, very fearful is soul. Why is the soul very, very fearful? Actually, the nature of soul is fearlessness, but because in the current position, the mind has become the master. Because intelligence is weak, the intelligence has let loose the ropes, and when the ropes are let loose, what will happen? The horses, that are the senses. Senses will take us here and there. Senses will say, you like this thing, do this thing. You don't like, don't do. And the mind will go behind the senses. Because the intelligence has let loose the mind. The answer is, our current situation is our intelligence is very, very weak. The ropes are just left. And that's why the discriminating power, when it is not strong, the mind does what it likes. It doesn't care of what is wrong and what is right. Mind is dictating and intelligence is planning to execute it. Rather, it should be other way around. Intelligence should dictate and mind should plan. But mind is dictating. We'll see a very nice example you might have seen also in our day-to-day lives. How many of us snooze the alarm every day? In fact, all of us, even I snooze many times. That's not a big thing, that's very normal. But let's say sometimes it happens, you know that there's something very, very urgent, something very, very pressing to be done on the next morning. Let's say you have some PPT to be made for your examination or for your project, whatever it is. You know that there is something very, very pressing to be done, and you put the alarm and you sleep. And morning, first time the alarm rings, 5:30 a.m. And immediately when you snooze the alarm, mind will start giving many thoughts. First the intelligence will say, oh, this project has to be done, that work has to be done, get up. And then the mind will start giving different plans. So mind will start dictating the intelligence. Oh, doesn't matter, even if you sleep 15 minutes more, what's the big deal? You can do the project in less time, no? And anyways, the manager gives you again and again, it's in nature to give you like more and more projects. You leave it, do it later. Mind will start giving reasons, or mind will start dictating, the intelligence will start planning how not to do that activity. Again 15 minutes later, again the alarm rings, again snooze, and again the mind starts dictating the intelligence. And intelligence again plans. And this way, again and again, this cycle, we go into this cycle, and we end up not doing that activity, or we end up sleeping all the time. In fact, I know in my college this happened. One person was very, very fearful of an exam, and he thought he has not read anything. And he was so fearful that he didn't even go to give the exam. And in fact, that day, somehow it happened that the paper came very, very simple. And just because of his mind, which magnified it so lot that it's very, very difficult, anyways I'm going to fail, what's the use of going there? He just skipped the exam. Again, because the mind dictated and the intelligence planned everything. That you'll go sit in the supply or do whatever. So this is our current position. That mind is dictating and intelligence is planning. But now let's try to understand what should be the actual case, or where we have to come to. So somehow mind has become the master. I'm sure everyone can relate to this. But what should be the ideal hierarchy? Repeat this after me. Indriyani paranyahur. Indriyebhya param manah. Manasastu para buddhir. Yo buddhe paratastu saha. Yeah, can anyone read?
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
So very clear through this, the hierarchy that is there. What should be higher? The intelligence should be higher than the mind. And even higher should be the spirit soul. But currently mind has taken over everything. Mind is in control, mind is dictating, and we are just following the mind. And that's why our life is becoming more and more miserable. This is what has happened. And now let's discuss the most important concept for today, the last, and we'll finish after that. That is how to control the mind. And very, very important to understand, we have to do a step of sequence of activities which have been prescribed in the scriptures to control the mind. Many times people feel they do various kind of activities. Some will wake up in the morning, they'll sit like this and meditate, they'll do something on their own. One should remember, by doing such things, we can never control the mind. We can suppress some thoughts for some time, but nothing more than that. Because when the Bhagavad Gita talks about how mind distracts us, Bhagavad Gita offers a solution also. Only if we take that solution, it will work. Otherwise, no matter how much you sit like this or how much you do whatever, you will never be able to control the mind. Let's try to understand. So first of all, in the analogy of the chariot we saw, what was the problem? Senses were pulling the mind, the ropes were being pulled, and why they were being pulled? Because the intelligence was weak. So first solution of first step is making the intelligence strong. Now question comes, how to make this intelligence strong? What we can do to make this intelligence strong? Play more PUBG. If we play more and more, intelligence will become very sharp. What should be the ideal way of making the intelligence strong? Yeah, one of the I'll give the accurate answer is reading the scriptures. That's the only way our intelligence can be sharpened. No matter how much you play PUBG or SUBG, whatever you do, or how much movies you watch, or how much serials you watch, that will not sharpen your intelligence. That will just make your intelligence more and more weaker. And you'll be pathetic in your life. We have seen many people addicted to all these things, with time they become pathetic. The actual way how you can make your intelligence strong is just by reading the scriptures or understanding more of the scriptures. Like you all sit here, attend these classes, Many times people say also this helps us a lot in understanding so many things. This is one of the ways of sharpening our intelligence. And again, another thing that is observed is people come here, they attend the Saturday class, this remains for 1 or 2 days, and then it goes down and back to normal. Again the normal cycle starts, again they come here Saturday, get some booster, again back to normal. That's why we are even planning something on some weekday, some reading session, where we can sit and just read the scriptures. Just read the scriptures to sharpen our intelligence more and more. Because unless our intelligence is sharpened, we won't get any discriminative power. We won't understand what is right and wrong. And even if we understand, we won't have the guts to practice it. We'll know this is right, wrong for me, still we'll end up doing it. Because intelligence is not strong. So whenever we have these uncontrolled thoughts, or whenever we are going through all these problems, mind is magnifying, we should understand currently our intelligence is very, very weak, and we have to sharpen our intelligence. And one of the prominent ways is reading the scriptures. And I already said this thing that mind will again dictate, or you have lots of time for this. You have your entire life for this, you can do it slowly, you can take it step by step, or you can do it in old age. Why now? Mind will always dictate like this. But I always say this, the question that I always ask is, how much time we have? Or how much do you feel the time we have, or how much time we have in our life? Does anyone know how much time we are going to live? Anyone can? Once I was asking one person very confidently, I am going to live 40 years. It's good a person has that confidence, but do we know that how much time we are going to live? Do we know that we go out of this room and we are going to survive? Do we have 100% confidence? No, anything can happen anytime. Who are we to know all this? So thinking like this, we have lots of time, we'll do this in the future, this is just the mind is dictating like that. Actually, time is now, and spiritual activity has to be taken seriously right from now onwards. If we don't take it seriously, we'll just keep on delaying it more and more, and it won't ever happen. Another thing, many times people say, I want to read the Vedas, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I ask it, how much time you have? Hardly you get 10 minutes you are not able to make for chanting one round, and you say you want to read the Vedas. Vedas will take your entire life. First of all, why don't you read the Gita and get the essence of the Vedas? Actually, Gita is not an ordinary scripture. It's described that the entire Vedic scripture is just like a cow. Arjuna is the calf and Krishna is the milkman. And the milk that comes out is the Bhagavad Gita. It's the essence of all the Vedas. So at least begin with the Gita, at least read the Gita. And then you can speak about other scriptures. So this is one of the ways to control the mind, that is making the mind or making the intelligence strong. Another thing, clearing the previous impressions. Again, I was focusing on that. Many times people do different kinds of meditation activities, mindful meditation, object meditation. They'll focus on a candle, they'll focus on lamp or whatever that is. That might help for some time. That might suppress our mind, suppress our emotions, suppress our thoughts. But that won't clear the previous impressions. The impressions will be just there, and it will get suppressed for some time, and again it will bulge like a spring. Only way we can clear the previous impressions is just by practicing the mantra meditation. This activity works like a detergent. It clears all the impressions. Just like in laptop we have delete and shift plus delete, right? So this works like that, shift plus delete. It deletes all the impressions that are there. So this becomes very, very important. Mantra meditation is the key. I gave the entire talk on mantra, mind control, everything I spoke. But you won't be able to apply this in your lives unless you start doing mantra meditation on a regular basis. On a daily basis, chanting at least one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That will help us control the mind. Mantra meditation is the key. Another thing, giving positive engagement. What is positive engagement? Already we have done so many engagements, already we have put so many impressions in the mind. I was talking about impressions, right? Already so many things are there, but now if we want to do something, it said there's a GIGO principle, garbage in and garbage out. Whatever comes in comes out. Same way, if we dip ourselves, do some positive engagements for the mind. Positive. What is positive engagement? Like coming like this in a satsang, going to some holy place, doing spiritual activities like chanting the holy names of the Lord, attending the arati of the Lord, singing the kirtan of the Lord. All these are positive engagements. And when we fill our mind with all these positive engagements, automatically the negative engagements will go down. Actually, mind is described just like a box. And currently in the box, we have so many red balls that are filled inside the box. Red balls are like negative impressions. And what happens when our mind gives us some thought? One of the balls that comes out and mind gives us thought. Now spiritual activities are compared to these white balls. That we are doing some spiritual activity, we are adding white balls in the mind or white balls in that box. Now if we do some very less spiritual activity, like one day on a Saturday we come here but we don't do it regularly, then very few white balls will be there and still our mind will give us very too much negative thoughts, and negativity will still be there. But just imagine if you bombard yourself with these white balls, do these spiritual activities on a regular basis and engage more and more in these positive activities. And just imagine in that box there will be red balls and that will be bombarded with the white balls. Next time, how much probability will it be there that a red ball or a white ball will come out? Definitely there will be a huge probability that a white ball will come out. That is about positive engagements, and this is all scientific what I am discussing. This is nothing which is some fairy tale or something like that. Everything on a scientific and logical way I am explaining. This is about giving positive engagements. And that's why very important thing to do meditation on a regular basis, and especially attending these classes on a regular basis. And fourth is chastise the mind. You heard me understand the meaning of chastise? Means scold the mind. What it says is, mind will always say, even after hearing the entire class on mind control and everything, when we go out, mind will say, अरे सब फालतू है, वो तो फालतू बोलते रहते हैं, ये सब फालतू की बातें हैं. Mind will give this thought. But that time we should be strong enough to say, no, you shut up and I'll just do what I know is right. You have to chastise, you have to speak like that to the mind that I know what is right for me, what is good for me, and I will do that activity. It's but obvious, no, we are telling all these activities, it's given in the scriptures. If you go home, you chant the holy names. It's not that I'll get something out of it. If you are going and you are chanting, I won't get anything. It's for your own benefit. But mind will still say, अरे छोड़ो उनको तो फालतू में बोलते हैं. We'll do whatever you want. That is again, that time we have to chastise. We don't have to listen to the mind, and we have to do that activity over and over again, which we know is good for us. So these 4 activities if we do on a regular basis, that are, first one, how we can do that? By reading scripture. Second one, how can that be done? By regular chanting. Positive engagement? By doing more and more spiritual activities, by adding more and more white balls in the mind. And fourth one, chastise. Even after hearing all this, even after me so much speaking, I see some people are still not attentive in the class. Again, because the mind is making them divert here and there. That time you have to chastise the mind. No, I have to listen this because it will benefit me. It will not benefit the speaker. Speaker won't get any money out of it or salary out of it if I do these activities. It is for my own benefit. This is the final thing, that is chastise the mind. So if we do all these 4 activities, then we have some hope of bringing the mind in the control. Or all the 5 things we discuss about MINDS, we have some hope of giving those things. And one very important thing I always speak is, we can apply for ourselves and we can see the results. You try whatever we speak, you apply for yourselves, and if you see the results, then you continue. If you don't see, no matter, you tell us that this doesn't work and go away. But if you don't apply, if you don't practice anything we speak, and you just think that, or your mind just thinks it doesn't work and this is all nonsense, then how can we help you? Then there's no way to help yourself. Then your mind is just controlling you and you cannot get beyond that. So that's why these are the 4 ways. So with this I would like to pause here. We'll take just few minutes questions because it's already late, and then we'll continue next. Yeah.
Sir, ये जो हम माइंड कंट्रोल करते हैं वो ये सोच के करते हैं ना कि लॉन्ग टर्म में है ना ये नुकसान करेगा. बट इसमें एक डाउट ये से आता है कि जो शॉर्ट लाइफ है पर एंजॉयमेंट वाली लाइफ वो बेटर है कि लॉन्ग लाइफ या ये बोरिंग वाली, ये खासकर जैसे स्मोकिंग, पोर्नोग्राफी और इन सब में रहता है, तो उनका यही मतलब आइडिया रहता है छोटी लाइफ होगी पर अच्छी तो रहेगी लंबी बोरिंग लाइफ से. तो इस थॉट प्रोसेस में क्या गलत है?
Whenever it comes to enjoyment, we have to understand that there is much higher enjoyment. You get some enjoyment, of course, definitely there is some enjoyment in all these activities of smoking and all. But when it comes to spirituality, there is much higher enjoyment in spirituality, much higher bliss in spirituality. This we can only understand when we go deeper in spirituality. In fact, one devotee was telling that Prabhupada was the biggest time enjoyer in this world. But he knew what is the correct way of enjoyment. All these activities you do, we have seen people become miserable. They don't enjoy also. After some time, they are miserable. They do those activities out of peer pressure or out of some frustration, and even after that, they are miserable. What kind of enjoyment is there? Enjoyment should be visible. If you are very happy, we'll be very happy to know this thing, that if someone is very happy by doing all this smoking and all. But then we see people become miserable by this. But any person you ask who has practiced spirituality for a continuous long time, is he miserable in his life? You won't find even a single person like that. Everyone will be very, very happy, very, very blissful. This is the proof that only thing even if we want enjoyment, this is the way we can enjoy. Otherwise, we will do some enjoyment for few minutes, few seconds, and after that, all over. After that, we'll just feel guilty why we did that. That's why we feel guilty after doing all these activities. Because we know that this won't help us enjoy, this won't last long. So that is the way, yeah.
So both enjoyment wise and long term wise, spiritual life.
Yeah, it's not just about long term, even in short term, the only thing that can give us pleasure is the spiritual activities. These things, they are miserable even in short term. In fact, I knew, this is a recent case, I will just tell one of the very prestigious college here, one of the college, MS Ramaiah, you might have heard about, some who are in Bangalore might have heard about that college. So there was a very talented boy, I personally knew that person, very, very talented boy in that college, a very amazing coder and all. He had just gone to Delhi, won a hackathon and all. And something happened in his college. Somehow his professor was not favorable, something, he was not allowed to sit in the exams. He failed in the exams and there was some financial condition in his home. So he was very, very fearful to tell his parents. Something like that was going on and he was in a very, very fearful, very, very stressful condition. And the only way out, because he didn't have any spiritual resolve, nothing he had, one late night, he got drunk like anything. He was out of his control and that, just like that, just out of fun, he drank poison and he died. Just a very, very prestigious, very, very talented. This student was very, very talented, very, very intelligent, not just an ordinary person. And in the prestigious college, he committed suicide. How this happened? Because of this nature of the mind. Because he didn't have this spiritual result. All his friends were drunkards, all his friends were alcoholics. They also tell, do all these things, your stress will go away. And ended up in this. So forget about long term, that spirituality gives long term pleasure. Even in short term, only spirituality can give us pleasure. These things, they will just end up in this activity, nothing else. This is just a cowardly activity. Drinking poison, anyone can do. What's the big thing in those things? Actually, to deal with the stress, that can only happen when you go deeper in spirituality. Otherwise, you'll just end up doing all this nonsense. And then, it's a problem for everyone. Problem for the college, problem for the parents. Everyone is worried now. Everyone is afraid. Everyone is so much stressed out now. So this is what happens. People do stupid things out of these engagements. And they feel it is fun, but it ends up misery. So even in short term, this is the best thing. Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to ask? Yeah.
So we think about the future. Mostly the future, when we think about is the uncertainty which we have. So mind has this thing that there is so many uncertainty and it will fill up all those gaps with all the thoughts and everything. So what all things we can do so that does not happen? Because uncertainty is one thing which we cannot control of, and mind just goes in that way.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure this is a very nice question. You attended that session we covered about karma, dealing with adverse situations. Actually, this question is very much related to that, and this is a very, very relevant question for all of us. Especially as you mentioned, uncertain times. And that will definitely happen, like COVID came, recession came, uncertain times, we do not know what is going to happen next. Any day our job can go away, any day this can happen, that can happen. But one thing, if we are deeper in spirituality, if we understand the karma philosophy properly, if we are born, or if we are supposed to get something, if we are supposed to get some happiness, supposed to get whatever in our life, no matter whatever happens externally, we will still stay peaceful. And if it's not there in our karma, if we are supposed to suffer at that point of time, no matter how much stress we take, how much we try, still whatever stress has to come will come, or whatever distress has to come will come. Because one thing that has to be very, very clear, the sukha anubhuti and the dukha anubhuti, whatever distress we are going to get in this life and whatever happiness we are going to get in this life, that's all fixed. You cannot change it. No external condition can also change it. Whatever comes, how much ever COVID comes, how much ever recession comes, if you are supposed to experience happiness, you will go on without facing any problem, or you will go on without any trouble. But only if this philosophy is very clear to us, only if we have faith in this, then we can go on in our life. Because see, even if our mind is stressed and excited, if something is supposed to come to us, it will come, and something is not supposed to come to us, it will never come. This thing is clear, then we can be fearless in any condition. And that is true. In COVID, we saw many examples of people above 80. They are having multiple disorders and they got COVID and they got cured also. And many young people with no background of any other disease, no complication, and yet they passed away. Because it's not about randomly this happens. This is all based on our previous karma. Whatever has to happen based on our karma, that will happen. And if we are sure about that, we can just go deeper in spirituality. We can just focus on spirituality and stay assured that now whatever has to happen, it's not under my control. Why should I engage our mind in that? Rather, let me be positive, let me go deeper in spirituality and let me do something about the future. This is how spiritualists think. And this can only happen when we go deeper in spirituality. Otherwise, that stress and anxiety, that uncertainty will be there. We have many spiritualists working in many firms, many organizations. No matter whatever happens, even if they lose their jobs, they're okay, they don't get stressed out. Because they know that whatever is supposed to happen will happen. Of course, that doesn't mean that we become lazy and sit in our rooms. They also endeavor, they also work hard. But they don't get stressed out in any condition. They are carefree in any condition and they put on their own efforts. And they are able to do successfully. What's the big deal in losing a job? They get another job. Many people go through those things. But if we are not deeper in spirituality, if we are not gone into spirituality, then our mind just blasts that problem. And we feel we are about to lose everything. Just like I gave the example of this boy, who's actually very intelligent. He could have done a lot in his life. But just because of this stupid, immature friends and stupid mind that is there, he didn't have any spiritual course. He did the stupid act of drinking poison. That is what it is. Okay, this is last question, and then maybe after the class we can ask. I will be here only. Already we are out of time. Yeah.
So if the mind is so difficult to control, I mean, especially in this age of Kali, why did why did Krishna create it or gave us in the first place?
Yeah. Very nice question. If mind is so difficult to control. So one thing is very, very clear. Mind is actually very difficult to control. Even Arjuna told this to Krishna. And this verse was spoken in the 6th chapter of the Gita. Beginning from the 7th chapter of the Gita, there is a theme which is called as the Bhakti Yoga. Where Krishna talks about, definitely mind is very, very difficult to control, but there is a very, very simple process to control the mind also. And what is that process? That is the process of, he says, Mama Maya Duratya, Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante, Maya Metam Tarantide. That only a person who goes deeper in spirituality, who goes deeper in understanding spiritual topics, deeper in the spiritual things, he can very easily control the mind. For him, it becomes very, very simple to control the mind. So mind is difficult for normal, ordinary people. But if we go deeper in spirituality, that same mind becomes, or it's a gradual process where the mind becomes easier and easier to control. And that's why the more a person goes deeper in spirituality, the more he is able to do miracles in his life. Because he brings the mind more and more under his control. Not by his own effort, but by the Lord himself says that one who does this, mind will become very, very simple for him to control that way.
But why was it even created in the first place?
Why was it created? Because we had this desire. This also comes in the Gita. We had this desire to enjoy. Initially we were meant to serve the Lord, but we wanted to become the masters. We wanted to become the enjoyers. So Lord says, you take this, you enjoy as much as you want, but ultimately you will realize that there is no enjoyment unless you engage in my service. As he also asked, that we know this smoking and all is bad, but it's short-term enjoyment, no? So that's what people feel, that short. So Lord also says, you do as much enjoyment as you want. Once you become miserable, once you suffer, then you come to me and ask, what is the reason of my misery? And then you'll take my shelter. Because he doesn't force anyone to do something. He's given free will. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, since we are already out of time, we'll just chant for 5 minutes without the beads. Those who have beads can chant on the beads. Others can just chant, close their eyes and chant in the mind. Just for 5 minutes we'll continue and then we'll proceed to the next activity. So you can all close your eyes and sit in a meditative posture. As I already mentioned, the entire summary of the class, if you want to take something from the class, that is this activity of mantra meditation. We might speak so much about mind control, this and that, but unless we are able to do this particular activity nicely, nothing else is going to work. No matter how much you hear these classes, whatever you do, if you don't practice, if you don't do mantra meditation on a very effective level, other things won't follow. So try to do this activity for the nice 5 minutes with full focus and attention, trying to chant every mantra very, very clearly, very, very distinctly, and try to hear the mantra very, very clearly. Mind definitely will take you out of this room to many other things that are there, but try to pull the mind back to this. Now the prasad smell has also started coming. So mind will definitely trick us so many ways, but try to focus, bring it back on the mantra. So please close your eyes and repeat after me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर
श्री अद्वैत गदाधर
श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा
all together with full focus and attention. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Last 1 minute.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Last 3 times.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare.
Last time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
So we can keep our eyes closed. So now we'll chant last 3 times, but this time without moving the lips, in the mind. And we'll pray intensely that somehow or other we are able to take shelter of the Lord and able to control this demoniac mind so that it becomes best of friends. So we'll chant 3 times. Hare Krishna. So you can all open your eyes. So a few announcements and then we'll proceed to the Aarti. So as I already mentioned, 3 practices for quick spiritual advancement. We've already gone through this. Every day doing mantra meditation, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at least 1 round on beats. And mind might give many reasons, but it hardly takes 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, not a big thing. And we definitely can make out time for that. It's not so difficult. Then study 1 shloka of Gita, use the shloka of day app. And most importantly, coming more and more in this Saturday evening festival. And also we are planning to start a reading session, as I already mentioned, in the middle of the week. Mostly on Thursday we'll do this session. Thursday evening time, 7:30 p.m. We'll be just reading some of the books written by Prabhupada, some of the Gita. What we are discussing, we'll be able to read their same in the scriptures. And also sharpen our intelligence more and more. Keep that enthusiasm throughout the week so that it doesn't go down before Saturday. Or our energy doesn't discharge before Saturday. So that's what. So we'll be announcing on the group also. Every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. we'll be having the reading session. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Now we'll be having Kirtan and Aarti. You can turn on that side.